Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me as always is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining me just before he goes away from America is David.
I'm Windrunner on the forums, and I will miss you all, but I can't wait to be gone.
Yeah, you're leaving for Costa Rica in 2 days.
Indeed. So don't expect to hear much from me for a while.
Unless he has stable internet, and then we might drag him back.
That's
Well,
fine.
Once or twice.
Virtually.
Oh, I should have called you Mr. Crocosaurus. Whatever. Also joining me is Grace.
I'm gatorgirl. Some of my cousins on Discord, they call me the gatorgirl00 because they haven't heard anyone else with that name. You know, I've asked around a lot, maybe 100 or 200, lots of people, sure, and nobody has heard of that name.
What?
That's Lopin's introduction when he's like, I'm the Lopin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
See,
it's the
this-
gatorgirl.
It just blocked, Lopin stuff just blocked from my memory. Listen to our Cosmere Beefs episode. But today, we are not going to be complaining about Lopin. That is
Too much.
No, that's not what this episode is about. This episode is actually going to be an extremely exciting episode where we are going to talk about really esoteric, weird Cosmere things that you probably completely forgot.
And that we know practically nothing about.
Yes, the things that like Brandon just like auto-raphos. So we're going to start with number 1 on our list, Vax. Yeah. So what is Vax?
Obviously, Vax is the half-elf champion of the Raven Queen.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a reference to Critical Role.
So great. That was not very illuminating, Ian. But Vax has become
Well, people who watch Critical Role
okay. Cool.
know what
Great.
I'm talking about.
Great. I just don't understand any references today, so that's great.
Mhm.
Vax has started to be somewhat of a meme on this show where everything is in Vax because we don't know what it is, but we do know a little bit. So how about we start, our first quote on Vax starts in the Elantris Ars Arcanum, at least in the 10th anniversary edition of Elantris. And so this is on the section on initiation. How are Elantrians made? And the second paragraph of this says, how then is a practitioner of Eondor initiated? It does not appear to be tied to family descent, as one finds on Scadrial, nor is it a specific shard's decision, as on Nalthus. Even Taldane's and Vax's methods do not seem to apply here. I can only surmise random chance is involved, unless there is a hidden pattern that I have not been able to discern. So, what would you say on that quote that means?
It heavily implies that Vax is a place.
A planet. I would assume that it's a planet, because Taldane is a planet.
And Scadrial is a planet, and Nalthus is a planet.
Yes.
It is a place with a distinct form of using investiture.
Or an
Of
initiation.
accessing, yes.
Yes. Of becoming a practitioner. Then, the next time that we hear about Vax is very strange. It's in the very end of Mistborn's Secret History. In, part 6, chapter 8, I guess.
Ruin stood up nearby blinking. Or, no, it wasn't Ruin any longer. It was just the vessel, Ati, the man who had held the power. Ati ran his hand through his red hair, then looked about. Vax? He said, sounding confused. And then Kelsier punches him.
Yes.
Before he can explain to us what Vax is.
Yeah.
Damn it,
Damn it,
Kelsier, again.
And, then there's also a very amusing, word of Brandon where, Argent, Evgeny on our podcast, tries to get some information about Vax, and Brandon just says, "Oh, it's heavily suggested that Vax is a place."
Mm-hmm.
So, Brandon has been extremely, extremely tight-lipped on Vax. So, Do we think it is a planet? And why would Ruin comment on Vax?
The theory I've seen is that Ruin went to Vax before joining with Preservation and making Scadrial. And so Vax is the last place before Ati kind of went over to the ruinous side.
The dark side.
And that's like where his last conscious memories are. Like, I don't know how sold I am on that, but
I like it okay. Like, I don't think it's a perfect explanation, but I can't think of a better one when someone asks for an alternative.
same.
Maybe Vax has a lot of mist constantly.
Kind of like Scadrial.
He was like, oh, there's so much mist here, I must be on Vax.
Yeah, I guess I always interpreted like, oh, it's after Sazed remakes the world, and so like, oh, Vax is green, but he would be in the cognitive realm, so that is more weird. Right?
Yeah, I don't think Sazed had really like started like really remaking the world yet, because I feel like he was like hovering there, and like there's like a nice time where they talked to a London Finn for a minute, you know? Because like when it started happening, Kelsier could see into the physical realm like briefly, and that wasn't really described while they were saying their goodbyes to a London Finn.
Yeah, I kind of like that Ruin went to Vax first. Kind of like that.
Yeah. It's like that part I kind of like, but
yeah, I don't really know what else.
I don't know that he would have lost his memories. You know, like I feel like he would remember like, oh, I was on Scadrial for several thousand years and I did all this stuff, you know?
Yeah. Because his mind is still his mind.
Well,
yes. His mind is still his mind.
Well, there are quotes that are like, all Ruin, there's very little of him left. That it's very well molded to his force's intent. Like,
yeah, but like the mind is still his, even though it's like overwritten with Ruin.
Yeah, I just don't know how much of like a shard when a person. So you pick up a shard, you're vaporized, right? And you become the shard, right? But then, like, your body will still, exist, right? And so how much of that is you before you picked up the shard going back into that body that, that... What part of your consciousness is that? How warped is it by the shard? Like, there's a lot of questions that we just don't know, right?
Yeah, there's a residue. But it's not like the shard is a glass bowl of water, a fish bowl, and you are the cup and you're pouring the cup into the thing. It's more like you are a balloon, the shard is helium, you're getting expanded, and then you're shrinking back down.
I think that's the really interesting, like the question though is, your mind is expanded when you are a shard. How does, when that constricts back down to just a human mind, what do you get to keep and what gets just lost because your mind can't physically hold that much information and knowledge?
It probably depends on a lot of things, like how long you held the power.
Well, absolutely, because Vin, it doesn't seem to matter much at all, right?
I bet she's okay.
Yeah, Vin
just like it's
okay.
Increased her affinity to preservation.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, if, let's say, Ati stuck around, would he be, like, all warped by Ruin? Like, would his brain all just be, like, warped by that? Like, I don't know.
There's a word of Brandon on this.
Is there?
Yes.
I feel like I'd be bummed if there was no long-term impact to his personality for several thousand years of holding a shard whose only goal was destruction. And he was just, like, back to happy-go-lucky Ati. Funnily
enough, this is a quote from Argent.
From surprise.
The 2013 Steelheart Chicago signing. If Ati had somehow managed to give up Ruin and return to being a regular person, would his mind have gradually reverted from its corruption by Ruin's intent, or would he always be determined to destroy? Brendan, over time Ruin's influence would fade, but Ati would remain a sliver, so there would be some permanent effects.
Okay.
Yeah. It just seems like a lot to completely forget thousands of years.
Yeah.
When you give your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could always chalk it up just like a moment of being a little disoriented. And he's like, "What's going on?" And then Kelsier, and he's like, "Where am I?" And then Kelsier pops in one, and then he's in the beyond.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
Because when you've been a god for thousands of years, and then you're just a regular ghost of a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, thoughts on what Vax is, where Vax is? Because I know I have my thoughts.
Oh, do you? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, I think people who think, for those who have read Aether of Night, and that know that Brandon is intending to bring that into the Cosmere in some form in the future, and think that Vax is a renaming of that planet, I think they are on the right track.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Because in Aether of Night, it started with a V, I think.
It was Veria, I believe. Mm-hmm.
You can get Aether of Night by going to 17shard.com, going to unpublished works. There's an Aether of Night requests topic. You can request it, and we'll send it to you.
Usually within like 2 weeks or so, we try to get it.
Soon, TM.
I've been doing it pretty consistently every 2 weeks. But
well, you're going to Costa Rica, so
yeah. But the other reason I think that it'd be a good idea, like a good possibility, is that Proto Ruin, when Brandon was making the Cosmere, decay was a huge part of Aether of Night, which we know from WoW, for those who don't want to know anything about unpublished works. But so I could see if Ahti has some history in Vax that would still play really well into decay in some form being involved in Aether of Night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For the longest time, I wanted it to be the electricity world. But when Dark One was in the Cosmere, now Dark One is not in the Cosmere, so it can't be Vax.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like if Brandon was iffy about it, he would be more careful about just name-dropping Vax in both Secret History and Elantris Ars Arcanum, because if he's giving these tidbits, sometimes I feel like Brandon doesn't have a master plan on sharing these tidbits, because sometimes he'll just think that he's already revealed a thing to us. But like Vax, no one would have any idea what that is. And he's so coy about giving anything, so he clearly intentionally name-dropped Vax.
I'm just trying to think of if there are any other stories that we don't know the planet that we like know about.
Stories? I don't think so.
Known Cosmere series.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we've got like 6 shards unaccounted for right now, kind of, but we don't know anything about other current planned stories.
Yeah. We don't know how many of those shards would, like just be on Yolan, right? It's good.
That'd be so boring.
Yeah. So it's probably either Aether of Night or a story we have no idea about.
Yeah, it's just hard reading those old works. That's like, how is this going to be in the actual Cosmere? Like, I don't really know how much this is going to be. And Brandon said that Aether of Night would be pretty different.
Yeah, it could just be a planet that they visit in Mistborn Era 4. Because, that space opera, there's going to be, more than just Scadrial in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought that Era 4 would just be, them trying to find Yolan, right?
That'd be cool.
That'd be like a central plot thing.
Era 4 starts and Kelsier is like, all right, we're going to figure out what this Vax place is that 80 talked about.
It's been bothering me ever since I punched him and he couldn't tell me more about it. I regretted it deeply. Dang it, Kelsier. All right. Here's another one from Secret History that's very vague. That has also always, been rathoed. Senna.
Kelsier held preservation in awe at this creature's divine agony. Then Kelsier pulled him close into an embrace. Man, Kelsier does a lot of hugging and punching gods. Anyway, I'm so sorry, Kelsier whispered. Oh, Senna, preservation whispered. I'm losing this place. Losing them all. Yep. Very. Senna is preservation's pet name for Kelsier. And he just got a little nickname.
No.
Senna lives on Vax.
Sure. See, that's the best thing. So I think you guys will hear memes like, where are the missing Shardblades? On Vax. Where's the weapon that killed Aenalsum? On Vax. It's a perfectly You don't know that it's not.
So this questioner asked,
I love this one.
Preservation says, "Oh, Senna, how I failed you." My question is he saying as, "Oh, deity," or, "Oh, my old," inaudible? Brayden.
Great,
Yes,
thanks.
it's more the second one.
I'm
So
so
that's
glad that it's inaudible.
Yeah, it's probably like, "Oh, my old friend," "Oh, my old lover,"
Yeah, it's got to be friend or lover, right? I would say.
"Oh, my old frenemy."
Oh, my old frenemy.
Yeah, college roommate.
I think with the quote where it actually says Senna, I'm leaning more towards a romantic relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that, yes.
Either romantic relationship or like a close family member, like a sister or something.
Yeah.
I'm picturing this could just be me, but I'm picturing this as like Senna and Lyras were in a relationship and they were planning to have like a family. And then this is him being like, losing this place, losing them all is like, he sees the Scadrians as like his children and he's like, I'm losing my children. I don't know.
Could be.
Sure. I mean, I would definitely read that to be like a lover.
Yeah.
You know?
Like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely, it's probably a lover.
That's, yeah. Or like, maybe like his wife before he ascended.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
get the impression that she is not another Shard of Nauseam, and she's probably like not alive, because it doesn't sound like he can send her like an email and be like, "Hey, Senna, things are going real bad here on Scadrial."
Send
You
her
know,
one
like
of
he
those
sounds-
weird letters that somehow, you
Lloyd
know?
can do.
Yeah.
Though, we've been referring to Senna as female, but we don't actually know. And Arjun did want us to say that he thinks Senna is a dude. So,
Cool.
there, Arjun.
Yeah.
We
it's
mentioned it.
completely reasonable. I don't know.
Whenever I've seen the name Senna used, it has been a female name.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
feel.
We are culturally conditioned to view names that end in A as female.
It's true.
Mhm.
It is true, though. Next up, we have Reya. This is from Words of Radiance, chapter 31. This quote's actually good for something we'll talk about later, too. Kaladin smiled, leaning back against the barrack wall, folding his arms. Then he found himself checking the sky. The sun hadn't quite set, but in the darkening sky, stars had begun to appear around town Scar. The tier hung just above the horizon, a star much brighter than the others, named for the single tear that Reya was said to have shed. Some of the stars moved, star spread, nothing to be surprised by. So, and then we also have a quote of Green Hoodie Mistborn asking, "Is Reya Cultivation's name?" And Brandon said no.
Which, that was a very popular theory for
That's,
between Words of Radiance and that quote. Is a
yeah,
very popular theory.
I would, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's Reya.
Yeah, I was on board for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, not Reya, but the tier, I believe, is probably Ashen, maybe Braze, but it's one of the other planets in the Rosharan solar system.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, a star much
Mhm.
brighter. Yeah. Planets would generally.
And I think
Yeah.
Brandon got confused one time and was saying that he thought he might have mentioned or like referenced Ashen in the night sky at one point. So it makes me think this is probably what he was thinking of.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, he has definitively said, like, you can see Ashen in the night sky of Roshar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which makes sense. They're like planets in the same solar system.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much astronomy Kaladin would have, but, you know,
More
Yeah.
than you'd think.
more than you think, that's true. But,
Mhm.
like, planets are not in the same location in the sky, and generally, you know, like, if...
But like Venus was the morning star for forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, it,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
They're
and-
in like repeatable, like
Sure.
they're not as consistent as stars, but they're literally wandering stars.
Yeah,
but,
and-
like they are consistent.
And also the line that the tier hung just above the horizon, like, that almost suggests that it's like, right now it's hanging above the horizon, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
That's how I would interpret that.
Mhm.
So I like the idea that that's Ashen, but theories on what Reya is?
So prior to Oathbringer, I thought like, Oh, it's the name of the shard that used to be on Ashen. But that
Yeah.
doesn't really work anymore.
Don't really think they're... Yeah, right, exactly.
So the idea that I literally just had was maybe Reya was the girl who looked up.
Sure, why not?
Maybe.
Like,
Why
she saw
not?
the beauty and shed a single tear.
Yeah, sure.
It could be Vivenna. We can't discount that, as always, but...
Yep, it could always be Vivenna. Alternatively, Reya could be a permutation of race.
Because
like,
you
we've
mean like
seen
an
his
anagram?
What did you
More
just
like
say?
a corruption over time, kind of.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we've seen his name pop up in New Relisi in Tashik, I think. So it's like
Oh.
Yeah.
versions of his name like are in Rosharan cultures. So like
Yeah, sorry, I'm a math person. Permutation's an important word to me, so...
Oh, yeah, that was a
Sorry.
specific definition, I guess.
Sorry. I'm down with that.
Yezri and Yezoriza. Like
Yeah.
they're the same name.
I was gonna say, I suppose we don't know that Reya is female either.
Well, I mean, that could just be, like...
Yeah.
Would only Vorins call this Reya's tier? Like, we don't know, like, how common
probably.
this even is, right? Like,
Yeah.
And
We don't
people
know.
could refer to Reya as female. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Odium could appear as female.
or like it just that could have like over thousands of years, it just that's what the story turned into.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, various stories to describe all sorts of weird celestial things, right?
Mhm.
Just like the moons.
Yeah.
Like, there's there's going to be lots of different legends about the moons on Roshar.
Mm.
Yeah.
Brandon does like to tease in little bits of mythology with this sort of thing, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did come back at some point in the future.
Well, yeah, but that's
I'm
like...
really
Yeah.
hoping it does because
But
Mhm.
that's obviously common on Earth, too. Like, you have
Mhm.
myths about the sun and the moon. Like, that's super common. And if you had 3 moons, you would definitely have legends about it, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Next up is the origin of the name Luthadel, which has often, like, Elendil's named after Elend. So is Luthadel named after Lutha? And, Argent actually asked this, and Brandon said, "Good question. Yes, there is a person the city's named after, but I'm not ready to give specifics."
and that was ages ago, and he's
Yeah,
still
well-
not ready to give specifics.
That was in 2015.
Have people
Auburn
asked
Senna.
about this since then?
I don't
Not
think
really,
so.
but like it's pretty just been like Raphoed. But like
Mm.
Era 1's done. What?
Oh, yeah.
Why would he not be ready to give specifics?
I legitimately thought it was gonna come up in Secret History, and I was like, "This is what he's been waiting for to reveal who Lutha is." Yeah.
It could be Mistborn Birthright, the story for the game.
Yeah,
Maybe-
yeah. It was
Maybe.
the story for the Mistborn video game was going to be early Final Empire, which is crazy, by the way. Like,
Mhm.
there's
Would've been
so many
awesome.
things that could be different, and I had little confidence that it could be done to the degree of difference that the early Final Empire should have. Yeah, that's possible.
Though I feel like his capital city, like the name would have had to have changed to Luthadel, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like he would have probably called the city something. It wasn't like the nameless city until then.
Well, I mean, like 200 years after the Ascension, like he's still conquering random things. Like he's
Right, but I feel like
he
his
had
capital-
a city because
he had a city, yeah.
And it was like he didn't want anyone to get there because of the well and everything. So I feel like it probably had a name. Like it would have been
Oh,
changed
sure.
to Luthadel.
Yeah.
but he's God Emperor of the world. Like he can change a name if he wants to. Like very
Yeah,
easily.
you're now calling it this, so yeah.
Yeah.
He is good at revising history and silencing opponents.
He's pretty good at
erasing
it.
all mention of the fact that he tried to give up the Empire at some point.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that Brandon will
Yeah.
talk about.
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, if you don't remember, yeah, there was a time where the Lord Ruler tried to give up ruling the Final Empire. How crazy is that?
Yeah. When
Thanks,
is
Matt.
that? Yeah.
Matt
Wow.
asked that.
When is that going to come up? Because I feel like he's not going to write the classical Scadrial books or do anything like that. Like he said multiple times.
I think that'll just be like flavor lore. Like it's just like a thing in his notes that it's like, what did the Lord Ruler do in the last 1,000 years? And like that part doesn't matter. But
let's fill up 1,000 years of history real quick.
So what do we think? Lutha or Luthad or whatever. What do we think that is?
So you might not know this, but the Lord Ruler had kids.
The Lord Ruler actually frickin' had kids.
How irresponsible.
And seriously, though, I thought this was like one of the most crazy things that Brandon just like casually like, yeah, the Lord Ruler had kids. Apparently they like distributed it throughout the population. I'm like, wait, he had kids? How was that not really important? And Brandon later said, the fandom is giving this too much attention. What? What? I thought the entire point of doing the terrorist breeding programs was so Allomancy and Ferrochemy wouldn't mix. But if the Lord Ruler's just having babies, wouldn't that, like, matter? Gah!
Yeah, like, Brandon's like, oh, the fandom is focusing on this too much. No, Brandon, you're not focusing on this enough.
Like, okay, so we know the Lord Ruler did not eat a bead of Lerasium, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that.
Do we know that now?
We do know that now.
Yes.
Okay.
He remade himself with Allomancy using the well.
Mm-hmm.
He did not eat a bead. Why I mention this is because anyone who ate a bead of Lerasium, their kids are definitely mistborn. 100%. Like, it's so concentrated and powerful. Like, that genetic power lasted for 1,000 years, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, their kids definitely mistborn. Now, we don't know if the Lord Ruler constructed himself in such a way that his kids were not automatically Allomancers. I don't know. That seems pretty big to me.
I don't think he had that much foresight at that
Yeah,
time.
I don't either, especially if he's just
kinda
having
convoluted.
kids. But, I just feel like, wouldn't these kids just, like, be super magically powerful? Like, what? If you had kids in, like, the 9th century after the Ascension, they have Allomancy, they're stronger than every Allomancer in that time. At all of them. Literally all of them. And if they had any Ferrochemy, what? It's crazy to me. So anyway, that's my rant that I feel like that should be really important because that was literally his entire point on not having Allomancy and Ferrochemy mix. It's the whole point. Breed Ferrochemy out because we don't want a competitor to my power. But I'll still have kids, I'll execute people who sleep with Ska, but, I'll do whatever the crap I want. And sure, he's the Lord Ruler. He can do that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
maybe they promised not to use the Allomancy.
That'll go real great. For that kid's children, that'll go great. I mean, the Lord Ruler could execute that person's kids, I guess. Like, he's gonna still be around. So sure.
And there are descendants of the Lord Ruler alive during Era 2.
Yeah, we have a quote on that too. I'm like, what?
Maybe he just, like, exiled them out of Luthadel, like...
Oh, maybe he sent them to the South Pole. Sure, why not? He sent them to Vax.
Mm-hmm. Although, I guess, like, from an opposite perspective, if he had them early and then thought better of it, that would not be
that's
incredible.
always possible.
Yeah.
True, like, they could have just integrated with nobles, but, like, I still feel like the Ferrochemy would be a problem. But then again, I feel like the terrorist breeding programs were a thing that were later, right? Because that was because of Ruin's influence. So, like, early on, that wouldn't have been a thing.
Correct.
And he just would have thought that Ferrochemy just didn't exist anymore. Because he made all the Ferrochemists into Mistwraiths.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
But forgot about genetics.
Yeah, so, like, that would just come up later, like, maybe 5th century or something, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, right?
Yeah.
As a Lord Ruler aficionado.
So, as an alternative idea to who Lutha or Luthad is,
yes,
maybe there was like someone really important to the Lord Ruler, and when he turned all of the terrorist people onto mist wraiths, he was like, I'm gonna name my major city after that person, because I like them a lot, and now they're a mindless blob.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I'll still turn them into a mindless blob. You'll be immortal in a fashion. But I'll name a city after you.
It's a consolation prize.
This is like what you do to a crush who rejected you. It's like, I still really like you, but I'm turning you into a blob. Like, that's not good. This is bad. This is real bad.
Yeah. I mean, does the name Lutha or Luthad sound terrorist to people at all?
I don't think so.
Not
because I don't hear it.
particularly.
Like, I mean, Rashek is kind of the weirdest of terrorist names that we actually kind of have in some senses.
How many terrorist names from around Rashek's time do we actually know?
Quan.
Yeah, Quan. Yeah, I mean, we don't know how much.
And the names of
changed.
Did the firsts have their OG names? I can't remember if they were.
Oh, that's good.
They kept.
I imagine they would, being directly transformed.
Haddock? Yeah, I think one of them was Haddock.
Yeah, okay. I guess I'm more just like thinking like with Tindwyl and lots of Era 2 things. There's lots of Ys.
Yeah.
There's lots of Ys, right?
Idashwe.
Yeah, right.
A slide in.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. There's tons of Ys. Just thinking about how mean it would be to transition all the terrorists into mist wraiths and then be like, here's your consolation prize of being a city. I almost feel it's not that. So I always thought that, again, this would be a lover of the Lord Ruler,
Entirely possible.
Can't be the only answer.
Look, if you ascended and had awesome magical powers and were the ruler of all the world, you would have groupies, right? And it's like, if Rashek is not... he grew to be more mature. Sure, after the ascension, he's like, yeah, sure, you seem nice. Yeah, sure, great, let's go. Look... he was a jerk. Yeah. Like, I don't think that's out of character for early Lord Ruler.
No, it's not.
Although, I'm kind of... If it was someone that he could have made immortal or was important enough to him to name a city after, I'm surprised he didn't. Like, I guess he probably...
Well, that's
he
why
could have
I
made
think...
the Mortalist Spikes,
that's why
I guess.
think it
that
has
would have
to
been
be
kind of gross.
That's why I think it has to be post-ascension, right? Because... Right? I mean, I guess you could make that person an Inquisitor.
Yeah, I was like, you give him a hemalurgic spike and a bead of Lerasium and call it a day, but...
Yeah, but I get those beads of... I mean, again, he was saving the beads for, important people and not lovers. And, like, I guess if he rebuilt himself using the well's power, then that kind of makes more sense on why he kept a bead there. Just as like, man, that was kind of weird. I'll just keep that just in case.
Yeah. Hopefully that worked.
I think Brennan has said that's kind of why.
Yeah. Well, great. I love talking about the Lord Ruler, so that's great. There's all sorts of interesting things about
everyone loves talking about themselves.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Yes. I'm both. I am a bit of preservation and a lot of ruin. That's true. Cool. Next up, we got Obradai. Mentioned once in the epigraphs of Oathbringer.
So this is from the second of the letters in the Oathbringer epigraphs.
Yes.
From Bovidin, or at least a version of Bovidin.
Yes.
Located on Patri on First of the Sun. We also instruct that you should not return to Obradai. We have claimed that world, and a new avatar of our being is beginning to manifest there. She is young yet, and as a precaution has been instilled with an intense and overpowering dislike of you. This is all we will say at this time. If you wish more, seek these waters in person and overcome the tests we have created.
Okay.
I can parse through that if we want.
Please
quick,
do.
at least
Please
my
do.
read on it.
Go ahead.
Okay. What they are saying is, we have claimed that world, Obradai, and are saying to Hoyd, do not go to that world. We made it so that the little avatar aspect, whatever you want to call it, does not like you.
Yes.
But if you wish more, seek these waters, the waters where this aspect is at, First of the Sun, the water planet,
All right.
and
yeah,
pass
okay.
the tests on Pachi. In addition, the avatar Pachi has been referred to as exclusively male, and this new avatar is female and young, so like is coming into existence.
Okay, that
I know
I'm
that
like,
gender can be flipped a little bit, but that is another small piece of
the
Yeah.
mythology
Indication.
of the island doesn't have to be the mythology of the avatar on the island. Like,
But
the
it might be
being is different
parallel.
from the island.
Yeah, but it's very clear. It's like, don't go back there, but you can come here. So
Mhm.
obviously
Yeah.
Obadiah is not here.
Well, I mean, yes.
yes.
First of the Sun is a watery planet. Yes. I mean, there's just a common theory that Obadiah is first of the Sun, and
But it
Yeah, you
can't be.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense reading this. Like
there
at
could
least
be
I
another
can't-
water
Yeah.
planet. Vax could be another.
Brandon
water
has
planet.
confirmed that this aspect is on First of the Sun.
Wait, did he? I didn't
Yes.
find that. I didn't find that at all. Where did he say that?
Yeah. Okay, so maybe like I'm overstating things.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
like,
maybe.
okay, but in the one where we found out that Patchy is
Okay.
a shard of Adenalsium,
Yeah, right.
as
okay.
in one of the 16 shards of Adenalsium is represented and involved in First of the Sun. In fact, one of the letters references First of the Sun in this Oathbringer.
Oh, okay,
So-
that's right. I forgot. Okay, that's fine. That's
Fine.
fine. Okay, then fine. Right. I'm appeased. Look, I'm appeasing the listener's thoughts, okay? With my there's also a quote where someone just asks how many worlds in the Cosmere do you plan to talk about, and he lists a bunch, and then he says there are a couple other worlds. One is mentioned in Oathbringer just very briefly in one of the epigraphs, and that would be this, because that's the only place where
Yeah.
a new world's mentioned, right?
Yeah, I think that also supports that it is not First of the Sun, because we've seen First of the Sun
That is
is
true.
listed as one
Indeed.
that we've
I agree.
seen.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not labeled as Obadiah on the official star chart.
Well, who names what is on the star charts is a question, right?
Yeah, that is kind of up in the air. Because, like, First of the Sun is a local name, but, like, Scadrial, we've not seen anyone go, oh, yeah, here on Scadrial,
Also,
things
like,
are...
with, like, the Celish system, like, none of the names are Ionic. There's two
Seal.
names, but they're both not
Yeah.
Ionic.
There,
Well,
there
the
are
Seal's Ionic.
every name, like pretty much every name on there has an Aeonic version.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
Yeah, but the ones we hear are not the Ionic ones.
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, also, I will say that, if you wish more, seek these waters in person and overcome the tests we have created. Well, you know what, Pachti? Yeah, that's kind of a few tests that you'd need to overcome to get to the being
Yeah.
Pachti. Like, that
Mhm.
makes sense.
And if you read Six of the Dusk, Six does, like, think of, or I guess Dusk, whatever his nickname is, does think about, Pachi and, like, the dangers that very specifically as tests, so it's, like, another
Oh, yeah,
potential
yeah,
piece
that's
of
right, that is right.
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like that. So what do you think Obadiah is?
Obadiah is Vax's lover.
Sure.
Theory confirmed.
It's like, what's Senna? Lover. Lutha? Lover. Obadiah? Vax's lover. Nailed it. Easy.
So it's a planet.
It's planet.
Yeah.
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 I'm
Being
trying to
taken
think.
over by autonomy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like,
Makes you wonder how many of those there are. But
I would assume
a lot,
a lot.
and more than
Yeah.
people know about,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I would think.
Think.
hmm
Yeah, I mean, Obadiah could not be one of the worlds that have other shards there, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
We've
it
claimed
could
that
be though,
world.
because like if we're right about Trell being an aspect,
True.
you know, autonomy's not above throwing our avatars.
I'm claiming it. I don't
Avatars,
care
yeah.
if you're a shard there. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Or if you're two shards there, even.
Yeah, jeez.
yeah.
That's-
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. We didn't really have any other story ideas. Like, didn't he say that the one with like the alien Silence of the Lambs, he might make Cosmere, but he didn't want to
Oh,
pull out that
Adamant?
Shakespeare
Yeah.
reference?
Yeah. Loki Adamant is number 2 on my list of stories I want to read. So,
Yeah.
but that's a space opera story, so it wouldn't be focused on a planet, I think.
Yeah.
Or like as heavily.
You know, with this idea of Oberdai being Scadrial, doesn't that kind of fit with the timeline?
What?
Wait, what?
Wait.
Wait, what idea?
Oh, sorry. Maybe I jumped a little bit in my brain here because you were saying Oberdai could be a place where there are shards. And in my brain, I'm like, well, autonomy, it could be claiming Scadrial, okay? Right? Sure, she could do that.
Well, she could try.
But in the White Sand Volume 2 graphic novel, Trell is male. So it wouldn't
Look,
make
Paladin
sense
doesn't
for
care
a
about
young
those things.
female
Paladin
aspect.
doesn't care about those things. Paladin doesn't care about those things.
Yeah. And in the theology, he's male, which
I
would be consistent
suppose
with the
what I'm
person.
asking is the timeline of what these letters are. When did they occur? Because they definitely, like, occurred during Stormlight, right?
Yeah. Well, like thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, because Stormlight's after Hero of Ages and before Hero 2. He's
At least the
talking to
first
Harmony
arc
in one,
is.
right? He's talking to Harmony, who's ascended. Like, we don't know how long that is there.
I strongly disagree with this theory.
Oh, that it's Scadrial? Yeah, I don't really know what that theory is.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like,
Because in the death vision that Wax has, like, it's a force like coming into the planet, but like, Harmony is repelling it. So it's like I don't think it's established itself yet.
sure, that's true.
Yeah.
Whereas
reasonable.
this young female aspect has established herself.
Love how you're just like, I'm not going to use the word avatar. That's probably my favorite part about this. This is where we get the word avatar right here. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, if autonomy is renaming all of the planets from a wiki aspect, I will be very annoyed.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
We will literally world hop into the Cosmere in Murder Bavden.
You will join the cognitive realm, not Shadesmar. Go there, find aspects of autonomy, avatars of autonomy, and go murder all of them. You'll murder all the Horcruxes of autonomy. Easy.
That's pretty much what they are. They're
It's-
sapient
it's-
Horcruxes.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm leaning towards we haven't seen Oberdai anywhere
I think
yet.
that's- Yeah.
I don't think we know anything about it, really.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it will be an important world at any point.
Wasn't that like the point of the question though? Is that it was like a relevant world that Brandon we had yet to see? Like you've gotten almost all the important ones. There are two or others that are like,
That's,
maybe not though. It's kind of a little further down.
They're
I
not
think
as
it
important.
might be on the level of First of the Sun, but not
Yeah.
Scadrial or Roshar.
He was saying that we've seen all the most important worlds. He was mentioning Aether that's still in the Cosmere. He's going to do some stuff there, and then he mentions the other world, the one mentioned in Oathbringer epigraphs. So, not a pillar story, but we could see some stuff there.
Yeah.
I kind of like that there's going to be more planets than we like see dedicated books on, though.
Yeah.
That idea?
Yeah.
Just makes the
It
world
definitely-
feel bigger.
Yeah, it helps with the expansiveness of it all.
Yeah.
And it's always, we could see a novella or a short story there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for the 10-book series on Third of the Sun one of these days.
Has to be called Third of the Sun, too. All right, let's move on to Fane Life. Dun,
So-
dun, dun.
I will explain the Fane life for people who have no idea what it is.
Yes.
In the beginning, there was Yolen.
Yes.
On Yolen, there were two competing ecosystems. The standard Earth-based, carbon-based ecosystem that humans like. And then there was this other ecosystem that is not nice to humans, or anything that humans like.
Yes.
And so, like, a lot of the Yolen stuff is the dynamic between those two ecosystems edging each other out for space and control of the planet. Basically.
Yep.
Mhm.
We do see a little bit more of this in Liar of Personnel,
Yes. So
Fun.
there are some sample chapters that you can download of Lyre of Partnell. That was a book that Brandon scrapped that no one has read the full version of. And there are mentions of Fane life there. They're very white.
Yeah. And Lyre of Partnell is Hoyd's backstory pre-shattering.
Yeah.
It's an interesting read.
Yes. And the only time you'll see the word Fane written canonically is the Scadrial system essay, where Chris is writing, because of this, the flora and fauna on Scadrial are very similar to what you'll find on Yolen, the non-Fane parts, of course.
Yeah. So it's real. It's not just from some unpublished work.
No,
it
is real. It is 100% canonical. Brandon has also talked about how in Dragonsteel Prime, he didn't like that it didn't deal with the Fane life enough, because that was a cool world building element there.
And the Shodel, which are one of the 3 sapient species of Yolen,
Yes.
are Fane.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are Fane humanoids.
And at least one Shodel is a shard, namely Ulada.
Not
Who
really a
held
shard anymore. Was a shard.
Was a vessel.
Was one of
really
the original
hard.
16 vessels.
Yes.
She did okay.
She held ambition.
Yep.
And then was murderated by
Murderated.
Odium.
We found what the real intent of Odium is. Murderation.
Forget about passion.
Don't murderate in moderation. Murderate in extremes.
It's a long chant for the Voidbringers to go through.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't... Do we really have, like, theories on the Fane life? Like, we really know very little about the Fane life and how it works and anything.
We do know one more thing.
Yes.
Which is going into one of my questions from BookCon earlier this year. And I was asking about Singer gem hearts that Brandon said they were related to something in Dragonsteel. So I obviously thought of Fane life, and I asked, are they related to the Fane life? And Brandon said, yeah, they are very similar to Tamukeks.
Yep.
we
Now, what
all went,
Tamukeks are... So there's something Fane called a Tamukek.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Don't really know any more than that.
Yeah, and we don't really know, like, the extent of, like, if Fane life has been on other worlds or anything. Like, there's no indication of that, but I don't know.
Theory that I will bring up a little later on for one of our topics.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at the very least it does indicate that Fane life in some way is still related to Adenalsium, because we know the Singers are made by Adenalsium, and if they're set up similarly to this Fane life, then it's not a stretch to say that there's probably that it's not some Adenalsium opposition or some other thing that we don't know about.
Yeah, I would say that's...
Or it was like foreign to Adenalsium, and the Singers were his experiment to try and integrate Fane life with the other ecosystem. I don't know.
If you're Adenalsium, why create 2 different ecosystems on Yolen? I don't know. Right? Like, it's weird.
For fun.
For fun. I was just having fun.
It wasn't fun for the humans. Yeah.
And for people having trouble, like, conceptualizing this, there's a somewhat common trope in science fiction of, like, most aliens being carbon-based, but, like, in one episode, there's a silicon-based life system organism. And so it's weird and different. So...
and dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing that in fantasy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how this is all going to be important. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
Next up, maybe we should have talked about this when we were talking about Reya, but There's also the Scar, ooh, which, if you look at the map in Arcanum Unbounded, is a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
At least it is drawn that way. It is not a real dragon in the Cosmere.
It is stylized as a dragon.
Stylized as a dragon. There you go.
It could be a space dragon. You can't
It
rule it out.
Could be. Vax could be there too. Yeah. But it's called Town Scar and on Roshar, and it's called the Red Rip from Scadrial. So different planets can see this.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Arcanum Unbounded map, there are no known planets that we know of that are in the Scar.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
Well, we know very few named planets, so...
Well, that's true. It's just like, if you look at that map, there's like nothing in that entire side of this. Like, I don't know.
That was
all the
also
Scars
a
look really angry.
Yeah.
very curated map.
Sure.
So, like...
I know there's a pretty popular theory that Yolen is inside the Scar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because Yolen is hidden by somehow.
Magic.
Well, yes, probably magic, yes.
That's my theory.
So,
Thank you.
going back to its many names, that it's potentially also the star belt on Threnody, but we do not have explicit confirmation of that.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, we know that it is the same patch of unusually bright stars that is visible from Scadrial. Whether or not that is the same thing as the Red Rip is not confirmed, but it is visible from other worlds in the Cosmere, which makes me think it's probably the Star Belt is also another name for this thing.
It's just there's no mention of it being the stars in the star belt being red, which is a very important
That is a
feature
distinctive
of the
feature
Scar.
of the Scar, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's kind of what defines a star from all the other stars.
Mhm.
I feel like this is going to be important somehow.
Oh,
Yes.
I feel like it's not. Yeah,
Well, fine.
not relevant. You know.
So
Space
going
Era
back,
Mistborn?
yes. So going back like 5 minutes to when I said there's a theory I want to bring up a little later on related to the Fate.
We're here.
I've seen a theory saying that the spread of the red stars has to do with the spread of Fane life through
Sure.
the Cosmere.
Sure.
I'm not 100% sold on that because how would the Fane be changing the color of the stars?
That's my
Magic.
question.
But like,
Well, yeah.
it's an interesting concept. Like, it's spreading through the Cosmere, and it's like the streak.
Yeah.
All right, David, I have a question for you. As the
Mhm.
writer of the Taln article, does he have any physical scars that we know of?
Not that we know of. Nalan does, oddly, but
That's
he didn't,
true.
He didn't
So-
get a star like a scar named after him.
Yeah, so we don't know why this is Taln. I mean,
Presumably because like, he's the herald that got left behind.
I don't know how much we can chalk up to that though, because they don't know that. You know, like they
Yeah.
know that he went through some stuff, but like by and large, the mythology is not that Talon is still left behind.
But like they
and-
know he's the only one that died during the last desolation. I
Well,
think.
we know he's
Yeah.
the bearer of agonies. Like that's.
I don't know how
word.
even. Yeah, Bear of Agonies is definitely in the
Which
mix,
is
but like I
weird.
don't even know if they just know that he died a lot. I don't know if they've even. I've never seen it mentioned that in Ahari ATM, Talon was the only one who died from the perspective of a modern
Yeah, I
Rasharan.
don't think we know that in particular. It's just I've always found it's weird that people know that he's the bearer of agonies.
Yeah.
But-
Mhm.
yeah.
Maybe the prelude is just really at the forefront in my brain, but I feel like they know something's up with Taln, like that he's distinctive in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know how much of that would have survived for 4,500 years,
Mhm.
and like how
When
much would be
Dalnar's
myths and-
Looking at the mural of Talon in Thalen City, he mentions like one of Talon's many famous last stands. So they definitely know that he
Oh, that's
died
true.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So naming a scar after him makes sense.
Yeah, I would say so. If he has famous last stands and he continues to live, you would say, oh yeah, he probably has a lot of scars.
And maybe all of Rashar has like a soft spot for Tom, like the entire fandom does, except for
Except for Matt. Except for Matt.
Yeah.
And you, I guess.
I like Tom.
Okay.
I have no problem with him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe the scar's like super crazy, and this is foreshadowing for some weird space opera stuff. Like, oh man, we're going into the scar. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. At the very least, it's, well, obviously, because space opera is the end of the Cosmere, but
Yes.
it would be the logical place for that to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like Yolan being there, that whatever shattering, maybe like it's red because of the shattering somehow?
It's red because of the aluminum shrapnel.
No.
Does aluminum burn red?
I don't know, actually.
I don't know. I'm not a chemist, so.
There's the answer right there. But yeah, I definitely think that it probably will be relevant, and that even potentially, like, if it's not something that's relevant present day, it could be some sort of after effect from the Shattering Beta Nalcium, or, you know, a big event like that could have larger ramifications than. It honestly surprised me that Scadrial, or that Yolan is like around a little bit, because if you told me the whole planet had gotten vaporized when that happened, that wouldn't have blown my mind. Yeah.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Next up, we have some weird Threnody things. There's a lot that is interesting about Threnody, and please write the Threnody book, Brandon. That'd be great. Thanks. I would love that. And first up, we have the evil.
Motivation's unknown.
Motivation's unknown, yes. So the evil destroyed the homeland. And we have no idea what it is.
Yep. It can eat men's souls, according to legend. Which
Great.
They were afraid of.
Yes.
For some reason.
Yeah. Apparently, some of the Force Scouts think that they'll defeat the evil. They believe
that seems
That's
awfully optimistic to me. Where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do it. It's been 100 years, but we're gonna get them."
Yeah. And one other thing that we kind of know about the evil is that the Threnody book would be an expedition going back to the homeland to confront the evil.
Yeah.
So we know that that's going to be a thing.
And we know that going to the homeland physically is dangerous because of the evil, but it's also dangerous going to the analog of the homeland in the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally.
Chris does not go there.
I totally forgot this.
When you write the Threnody articles, you got all the Threnody knowledge.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time since I've read this too. Yeah. And then we also have a quote from Sweetness asking on your behalf, David.
Indeed.
Since the evil on Threnody isn't a shard, can you tell us anything about its nature? Is it an actual being, and is it related to Adenalcium? Brandon, everything is related in the Cosmere to Adenalcium. Yeah. Most of the magic you're seeing is just a natural outgrowth of Cosmere-related magic. You're seeing cognitive shadows. The evil is similarly related.
So for the longest time, I thought that the evil was a splinter of Ruin.
Okay.
Because, hey, Preservation and Ruin are unbalanced because Preservation has all the extra investiture in the people. Like, what is Saza doing with the extra Ruin? In reading Shadows for Silence and the Forest of Hell, it just has such a ruinous atmosphere that, like, oh, like, these things should totally go together. But, like, it doesn't seem like that's how it's gonna go.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't picture Saza being like, I have this extra ruin, I'm just gonna send it off to a random planet. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
He let the Southerners freeze to death, though, so you never know with him.
Look, they were just used to the heat too much, okay?
He was like, don't worry about it, guys. Just go to sleep.
It wasn't like actual freezing. They just felt it was freezing.
But they were dying still.
Well, they
No,
were dying,
they were
yes.
dying of the cold.
Yeah.
Well, I've never interpreted that to mean that it was actually cold. That they were just,
It
but
was
like, they're
cold
still
to
dying.
them.
it was cold to them. Yeah. But I'm not
Yeah.
like saying it's the Arctic.
Oh, no. But I feel like he didn't care that they were still dying, which is more
Oh,
my
yeah.
point.
Oh, yeah. Well, he just has difficulty acting. But yeah, that is crazy. But
Cold is relative.
Yeah, right.
Yes, they were dying of the cold.
Yes.
I will confirm that cold is relative.
Yeah, you're from Florida, Grace. I'm from Montana. Cold is. I have a different definition of cold. It's not 50
Does Montana
degrees.
get cold?
Yeah. I've always wondered with Threnody, like, why the shades the shades existed before the evil because they scouted to the forests of hell, and they called them that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, like,
Did the
the
evil
is.
not exist, or was it just contained somehow, and then at some point,
Yeah.
100 years ago, some idiot let it out?
I mean, yeah, I don't know, but I
Well-
would.
This feels like it relates to ambitions splintering. Like that's what I
probably
very
true,
strongly
yeah.
believe is that it had something very heavily to do with that.
That
Potentially.
Yeah.
sounds like a safe bet.
But we also know of an entity in the Cosmere that likes setting up puppet regimes on other planets.
Well, that
Yeah.
is true.
And maybe something went wrong with like the residue of ambition that's there. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how much
Yeah.
did an ambition's investiture influence Threnody? Like, that's a big question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when Brandon says that you're seeing cognitive shadows, the evil is similarly related, it sounds to me like the evil has something to do with the cognitive shadow. And there was like a little part of me that was like, ooh, could it be Ula Daw's cognitive shadow? But we know that she died somewhere else
Yeah.
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
finished the
It's-
splintering up fully. So like, it'd be kind of weird if her cognitive shadow ended up back on Threnody.
I don't think he's saying the evil is related to cognitive shadows there. Because he's saying that, like, you're seeing the cognitive shadows, those are a natural outgrowth of Cosmere-related magic. The evil is also a natural outgrowth of Cosmere-related magic.
Mm-hmm. But with cognitive shadows being a theme on Threnody, it would not surprise me in addition to that they were also, that the evil could be an outgrowth of that in some way.
Yeah, I just feel like the evil does not involve shades because they would remember that when they.
Oh,
come
yeah,
in,
no, I don't
right?
think so.
Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a distinctive horrible thing.
Mhm.
But like, man, I love Shadows for Silence. One of my favorite lines is just, yeah, there's no predators here because the shades killed them all. It's like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. Whoa. And Threnody shades are different than other cognitive shadows, so
They
Yeah.
are.
like,
Yeah.
why do they exist that is unclear.
I could get into that, but that'd be a whole other.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's certainly true. And here's another weird Threnody thing.
Actually,
Mentioned-
leading on from the last thing we were
Yep.
talking about.
Yep. The deepest ones. Ooh. Mentioned once. And Silence and William Ann are, in the forest. And Silence thinks, God beyond, protect them if the fighting had drawn one of the deepest ones. That's it.
When she, in response to hearing a sound in the woods.
Yeah, in response to
Yeah.
hearing a sound. Which turns out to be this dude named Red. So,
He was not a very nice guy.
no, he is not. So the deepest ones, are they shades? Are they special shades?
I think they are special shades. I think they might be the first shades.
That seems reasonable.
That is
Mhm.
something that's occurred to
Yeah.
me.
They might be more intelligent than normal shades because they are so old.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
we obviously know cognitive shadows can, be very lifelike and, have lots of personality and be exactly like a human. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're exactly like a human, though.
No, I don't think so either, but they can
eldritch
definitely
abominations.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because Brandon has said that if he's ever going to do horror in the Cosmere, it's going to be like cosmic, eldritch, creepy stuff. Because that's what he likes.
Give me that. Give me that.
But whatever the deepest ones are, Silence seems pretty scared of them.
Yeah.
Probably for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty sensible.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good point. My two thoughts are, A, if there's anything on this list we've been talking about that could be like nothing, I think it could be the deepest ones, and they're just like scared out of their mind to the forest, and there's like some myths about the stuff that's in there.
Sure.
Possibility. The other thing, which is a little more speculative, is that at one point Nas like refers to making shades as like, making a kind of shadow to be a ritual, which is not something we've seen at all on Threnody, and is, I think, perhaps something that happened before the way that magic used to function before Ambition was splintered. And so it occurs to me that those could have been the shades that were created intentionally, that were the progenitors of the shades, like Ian was saying.
Yeah. Well,
not that we're on the same page about there being magic on
correct.
Threnody to begin with.
Yes.
But
we've had conversations about this before, but I'm thinking more like during the wave of Ambition's investiture, it might have like killed people, or like people that died at that point were transformed into the shades.
Sure. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely said people were like twisted by the chunks of power that were thrown off in the fighting. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do not believe Ambition was invested in Threnody.
I'm not necessarily saying that, but there was some measure of investiture on Threnody that has existed.
Yes.
Prior to that, so.
If only we had another book that could answer these questions. That'd be great.
Coming fall 2036.
No.
I'm wondering if there's anything that Silence would call, like, the deep ones and the deeper ones.
These shades are the deep ones. These other shades are the deeper ones. But man, those are the deepest ones. Oh, they're the Leviathans from First of the Sun. Easy. Nailed it.
The shadows.
The shadows beneath. Oh.
Yeah, Brandon has to stop putting shadows in the title of books.
Yeah, it's just shadows are pretty evocative, so it's easy to do over a long period of time.
It's a cool word.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in asking questions, ask about deepest ones, because I could not find any words of Brandon on it at all.
They don't exist.
You should ask about them. We're here to educate you guys about things that you forgot. Here's a thing that if you've read Bands of Mourning, you definitely didn't forget this. Namely, the evil faceless immortals of the set. And they have glowing red eyes, and they know about realms.
They're really mean.
They are not nice, yes.
Mm-hmm. You can tell them by the way they walk.
Yeah. Never a stroll, never leisurely, always fast, determined, purposeful.
Mm-hmm. And they steal bodies. Like, they possess people. Like, yes. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mechanic that we definitely don't know a lot about right now.
The Everstorm's there. The red mist is the Everstorm. Easy.
Oh
yeah. But yeah, it's very reminiscent of what we saw in the climax of Oathbringer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And we know that Odium, that's a recent development, figuring out how to do that.
Yep. Oh, the bonding of the surround with the people like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody, when they read this, take this like pretty literally and go, okay, these are either kandra that have given themselves over to Trell, or kandra that were crafted with Trellium spikes out of Mistrace that still exists somewhere, or do we think that's something entirely different?
I think it's in something entirely different.
I think so as well.
Yeah, because Sazed would know if any kandra went rogue. And I think we don't know if there are any extant Mistraiths.
I hope there are, for the Kandra's sake.
Yeah, so do I. Well, they could have
that's
kids.
true.
They can reproduce and make a Mistraith.
As Kandra, they can make Mistrace? I didn't know that.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
I guess I just never had heard of that as a possibility.
I don't... Is that a thing we know they can do?
I don't know
It
if
wouldn't
it's ever
surprise
been
me at all.
asked, but...
It wouldn't surprise me if it was true, but I kind of felt like a little like doom to the Kandra, though. Like they don't have any way to perpetuate their...
don't know if that's true.
Because the only difference the spikes makes is the mind. It doesn't change them physically.
I
So
feel like there was a mention
biologically,
of...
they're indistinguishable from a Mistraith. Like, they should be able to get it on and make a baby Mistraith. However, Mistraiths
feel like...
breed, which we don't know.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's a, not... I feel like that is a very much an open question on specifics regarding that, and is not so nonchalantly true that as Ian makes it seem. I feel like that's not a thing we know for certain.
It's like,
But like
Steel Inquisitors can breed. Koloss could not breed originally, but it would be stupid to make them able to breed. Kandra, like, doesn't really matter. Like, he made a new species and just made them smart with the spikes.
I just feel like they would have mentioned like, oh yeah, all those baby Kandra that we can make, and then we would use the old spikes from the people who keep killing themselves to turn them into people
us getting
too.
very off task.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, this is not. Yeah, I don't think it's.
We should make that another episode because
You can just make an episode on Kandra. That's fine with me. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We'll bring Matt on that because he knows way too much about them. I like this very last quote just before this creature kills Suit, and the creature says, "Recent advances have made civilization here too dangerous. Allowing it to continue risks further advances that we cannot control. So we've decided to remove life on the sphere instead.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. It has been accepted. You will be allowed to serve in another realm." So obviously they know about Romatics.
Yeah.
Also, though, I don't know, generally it has generally been assumed that, these guys are, of autonomy, right? And I just think this mention of control is quite interesting. Given the name autonomy.
Well, autonomy, like metals and
Absolutely,
things.
yeah. No, I'm not saying it's inconsistent. I'm just saying it's interesting. An interesting look into what this means,
Are we all on the same page that the recent advances are the Northerners getting access to those medallions?
Absolutely.
And like the technological progress is going to occur once there's a lot of Alamancers and that ability? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's the combination of like the ubiquity of the metallic arts in the north, the technology of the south, which they might not have known about up until this point.
That's possible, I guess. I feel like they would... I'd be surprised if Autonomy had not given their agents a full picture of what the world they were trying to take over had.
How much... There's a lot of assumptions there in how Autonomy is doing what Autonomy is doing,
I guess it seems like they are trying to control the world, and there are two large populations on that world, and they'd probably know about those two populations.
And I just feel like
the North didn't know about them.
But they're not in space looking down on the planet.
I don't think they're
my thought.
the faceless immortals are in space looking down.
I think that Trell is, and maybe Autonomy too.
I
And
think
they need to do some research if they don't know about the Southerners.
Yeah, so I don't think Trell had free reign to look wherever Trell wants without too closely, without Harmony being able to like intercede. Like there's a push and a pull here.
For sure, but I feel like
because they can go
they
to
can
the
see
north
the north,
side.
so I don't know why they can't.
They can
see
go
the
there
south.
physically.
Well, I feel like it's pretty obvious that these faceless immortals are well connected and know a lot.
So like the whole like red mist coming and surrounding the planet, that's a metaphor. Like I don't think Trell is actually coming in through. Trell's going through the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
But I do not. I would be surprised if a shard trying to invade the planet was not capable of locating the flaming souls on the subastral of Shadesmar. Or I guess little mist spirit glowy things. It seems like a very straightforward thing to be able to detect and hard to hide.
I just think it's pretty obvious that it's not like they were surprised that the Southerners existed. They were surprised that it's like, oh no, there's recent advances. That's not good.
It's like
right.
They knew the Southerners
this conversation
existed.
doesn't matter.
They were surprised by the technology of the Southerners.
Yeah.
Well, that the North now has the access to the technology.
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay, that's fair. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, obviously we will continue to see them for sure. Brandon has rafoed these guys a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that that the set is seemingly subservient to them.
Yeah.
Suit is asking for permission to move up the timeline and stuff, so it seems like they are really the power behind the set, which is something we had 100%. Not seen.
Yeah.
Or any indication the set was not just an organization of powerful people trying to take over the world for their own reasons. But
he's kind of remind me of the Skazy a little bit.
That's been tossed around. As evidence that it was Dominion, but, I
don't know if I like that. But, there's the mention of control, right? And it's similar-ish to how we saw the Skazy in the Hoid part. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, obviously, the Skazy were, weird symbols, but the Skazy were pretty no-nonsense.
I was not thinking of the Skazy, actually, for some reason. I was thinking of the Sfracus.
Yeah.
But
oh, yeah, some people were thinking that there was Sfracus, which is...
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there was a word of Brandon asking if Miles was influenced by this Sfracus. And Brandon's like, no, but, he's influenced by something.
Well, yeah, but... Obviously, by Trell, whatever Trell is, yeah.
But at the time, we didn't know Trell was a thing, so...
Well, yeah. So I don't know. That's a thing, too. Next up, David, you wanted to talk about this one.
So we've got a quote from Alik, our good friend from the southern continent, who has been talking to them about, the various culture things there. And he's talking about how the Southerners really could use the bands and want to get them. And this is what he's saying to Marasi, I believe, in this moment. He'd, being Kelsier, left the priest there with the bands and told them to protect them until he returned for them. And that was dumb, yeah? Because we could really use those to fight the deniers of masks. Deniers of masks? Like us being the Northerners. No, Alik said, laughing. You're just barbarians. The deniers are really dangerous.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about this, to be honest. They're really dangerous. That's not good.
Well, the deniers presumably have access to the technology of the South, so...
Yeah.
Of course, they are more advanced than the barbarians of the North.
Well, sure, but the really in the sentence is italicized, and it almost makes it sound uniquely dangerous in the Southern continent. That's kind of how I interpret that.
See, the way I was viewing it is that, you barbarians can be dangerous, I guess, but, no, the deniers are, actually dangerous because they have bombs like we do, so it's we can't just fly in our sky ships and bomb all of you, because they can just do that to us. But the Northerners have no defense against that.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that the indication that we know that the 5 main peoples in the southern continent all like to use the mask as a big part of their culture, but I do like the indication that there's more to that and there's a more interesting dynamic playing out down there. And it wouldn't surprise me if going forward, because obviously there's going to be relations between the North and the South.
Yeah.
That might be good, might be bad. If the deniers are a more extremist faction, who are not a big fan of the North, or maybe are the fans of the North, and the people with the masks don't like them.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
They're going to be the opposite of whatever the mask people do. Obviously. Because I think that the denier of masks, based on their name, that they once had masks, whatever that means culturally to the South, however that arose, but they turned against it
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And
Maybe
so,
I'm with that.
so like,
unsupported speculation. Yeah.
Well,
but,
true.
so like, and all the peoples that still have masks like view that as a fundamental betrayal of
Their
humanity.
cultural identity.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, for sure.
Maybe they're also being influenced by Trell.
Well,
Hey,
I wouldn't go that far. So it's not like
I might.
the barbarians, like, oh, they never wore masks, so like, who cares? Whereas like the deniers,
sure.
like,
Yeah.
those people are like horrible.
Or like
They-
sacrilegious.
they-
Yeah.
Deliberately rebelled against what we think is, good and right.
Because the captain even got grumpy with a leak for like putting his mask up too much to like talk to Marazi. Like they really like to keep those masks on, which will be annoying, I think,
Yeah.
later.
It's like the difference between a heathen and a heretic. Like heathens,
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
you want to convert them, but like, they don't know any better. Like heretics
They're just
are like,
ignorant.
like
Mhm.
heretics. That's some bad news.
I am so curious how much the Southerners will influence like Era 3. It's just crazy to
Oh,
me.
Yeah,
it's
I have
gonna
no
be
idea.
big. Like
It's gonna be
I'm
crazy.
so excited.
I'm so excited. It's
Yeah.
still so crazy that we saw the Southerners
Yeah.
in Era 2.
Do
hmm
we know if we're going to go to the South Pole in Lost Metal at all?
I pray.
I
I
feel
have
it's
no-
unlikely.
I have no idea what the Lost Metal could possibly be, but
It would definitely be a departure, like
Yeah.
having been set in the basin and like doing all that stuff. Although it's been moving further afield gradually,
Yeah,
so you
like-
never know.
who would have thought that we got all the stuff in bands, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
And I suppose they do kind of need to deal with the set. And
yeah.
going to the South wouldn't necessarily.
I think there will be a strong Southerner presence in the Lost Metal. Like
Yeah.
Alec, probably some more,
hmm
but I don't think we're gonna go there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just don't know when we will. Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
At the
I'm
very
so
least,
excited to see.
like by Era 3, they've sent up satellites and stuff. So like travel
Yeah.
between the hemispheres has to be there.
God, it just
Mhm.
feels
And,
like,
like-
one book and
like-
then another era. Man,
Mhm.
there's a lot of development going on there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seems achievable. Like Marsh made it there, so like
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
it's doable.
And Kelsier.
Yeah.
Clearly. Well, I'm very excited to see more about these guys.
hmm
And just really any Southerner culture. I want to know, how did they live during the final Empire times? I want to know that. I want to know all about it. I'm so excited. Then one more thing, a Scadrial thing. We have a kandra worldhopper, and the fandom has hilariously named this kandra Waldo, with
Well-
D being capitalized.
It was originally Waldo, but
Yes.
many people prefer to call the Kandra Walda because the Kandra is female.
Do many people actually use that? Or is that a you thing?
It's not just a me thing.
Okay, all right. I've
Potentially
usually seen
more
Waldo.
used to be
personally.
able to do it, but like people like you keep saying Waldo, so it's getting cemented in people's brains when it should be Walda.
I've just heard Waldo much more.
I've heard
Yeah.
Waldo much more. Like,
It should be
Either
Walda.
way,
well, that's your cultural bias about names being ending in A being female.
tell it to Froda and Bilba.
Anyway, there is a kandra hiding in other books, and there were a few paraphrase words of Brandon where Brandon was like, has she spoken a word of dialogue? And Brandon's like, I don't remember, but we saw her on screen in Oathbringer.
Well, he says, I believe you have.
Yes,
So.
you believe you have, but that's stronger than he doesn't
Mhm.
remember.
And she is an agent of Sazed confirmed, not some rogue traveler who's just hanging out.
Which I've always said makes sense. You would want, if you were Sazed, you would want to learn about other planets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's an easy way for you to do that, because you cannot physically go there yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't just look around.
No.
But you're not trying to extend an influence there and maybe colonize permanently.
This doesn't matter.
And sending a
This
bit of your
doesn't matter.
shard.
That whole conversation, whatever. This is super pedantic and is mostly irrelevant.
I will respond.
We're just going to quash that right now. I don't think we have any theories about this, because it's like, okay, there's a lot of Oathbringer characters.
It could literally be anyone that doesn't have a POV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
Hey, maybe that's why Shalon has so many personalities. It's her Kandra.
No.
Malfunctioning.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That is the twist of Stormlight 8, Grace. Thanks for ruining that for all the listeners. Yeah. I mean, like, the fact that he's like, I believe you've seen her on screen in Oathbringer makes me think it might be just a minor character that he just can't remember whether or not they were referenced or if they were actually on screen.
True.
Which makes you think it's probably not Sabarial or like Paloma or somebody, you know, like not like a secondary character, like someone pretty minor is my belief.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of minor named characters in Stormlight for Brandon to fit it in and him not remember if he actually fit it in. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Especially because the kandra could be someone different in each book. Just like, I'm this person now. Oh, I'm this person now. Totally could.
Yeah.
But just wanted to remind you guys about the world hopping kandra.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep a sharp eye out for her. So, with that, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Shardcast, talking about the weird things, the weird terms in the Cosmere. And hopefully now, if you forgot half these, well, now you're more up to speed. So, you know what time it is? It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character?
Who's that Cosmere character?
All right, so you guys, the listeners, send emails to who's that Cosmere character at gmail.com with 5 clues and an answer. And we read the clues one at a time, and the panelists guess after each clue who the Cosmere character is.
They should narrow down and be solvable by the 5th clue. Like, vague to specific is a good way of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So this first one was sent in by Slow Swift.
Ooh, hi,
Okay.
Slow Swift.
So the first clue is, this character is young.
TN.
No.
All right. How young is young?
11 years.
What about Matisse from Hope of Elantris?
No, it is not Matisse.
Isn't that her name? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Kai's,
It
who
is
is
not
Kyan's
Kais.
daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? I can't tell when you pronounce Aeon names that way.
All right.
You mean correctly?
Clue number 2. This character is an orphan.
Damn. I was going to guess Raiden and Serene's unborn baby.
Wow.
Well, maybe that's still not ruled out yet, but you know.
Vin? Sure.
It is not Vin.
True.
I'm trying to remember. Gavinor?
It is not Gavinor.
Oh, yeah.
What is
Oh,
It's a
he's
good guess, though.
technically an orphan. That's true.
Okay. Young, no parents. It can't be Spook. He's got his parents that don't love him. Just like Ian.
There we go.
Orphans. Is there any orphans on Vasher? He's probably an orphan.
He's not
He's not
He's not young.
young.
He's the opposite of young.
I was trying to be
It
clever
is
and I
not
failed.
Vasher. Clue number 3.
Maybe when you can't even like rationalize this in like, well, when he returned, he was young in his new life because he's existed for centuries since then.
All right.
Mhm.
Clue number 3. This character witnessed a traumatic event as a child.
It's Sabruki.
Yes, it is.
Oh, nice.
Clue number
Oh!
4 was this character likes to clean, and clue 5 was this character is from Threnody.
Yeah, the cleaning thing would have tipped it. That was good, Ian.
Yeah.
Mm.
I figured it out slightly before that clue. That like,
I'm so glad
what if it's Sabruki?
I'm so glad we talked so much about Threnody, and then we got a Threnody one.
Yeah.
And
If you have not read that short story, it is really good, by the way. So
I was trying to think of
I-
what other orphans are there at the Cosmere.
yeah, like there's not a lot of orphans that I know of that are named.
Harry Potter.
In the Cosmere. In the Cosmere. Yeah, Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell. One of the most
Atmospheric.
settings. Like, I love that story. Setting in particular. All right.
So this next one was sent in by the Young Pyromancer.
All right.
Clue number 1. This character died.
Great. It's not one of those. Did you die on screen? Off screen? That was not fun.
Yeah.
Goradel.
It is not Goradel.
Someone guessed Tien now. The classic.
About Lindevar.
It is not
Ooh.
Lindevar.
That's good.
I'm gonna go with Reen.
It is not
Ooh.
Reen.
Excellent.
Someone guessed one of Shalon's other parents now. Shalon would have been a good one for the young orphan.
Oh. Clue 2. This character had a sister.
Did the citizen die?
Denth.
I don't think so.
Denth.
It is not Denth.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was
though.
a good
That
one.
was a good guess.
Vin?
It is Vin.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm
there
like,
you
I
go.
almost guessed Vin's sister.
Finn did die, yeah.
All right.
All
Clue
right.
3 was this character is female. Clue 4, this character is from Scadrial. And clue 5, this character is an allomancer.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good.
That would be a good Denth one, though. I think. That's
Mhm.
How did they know that?
That's what
When
I
they
want to know.
returned.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we were siblings in the past before we forgot everything.
I assume one returned, and then the other one was like, who hadn't
Oh, yeah,
returned was
okay.
like, I'm your sister. And then the second one returned later, and they were like, oh yeah, you're my sister.
Or they remembered,
That's in-
like they actually have managed to recall their past, and like Vasher, like Lightsong figured his whole thing out.
Sure.
Or the
That's
set of
reasonable.
twins that we don't know if they're identical, but if they're identical, it'd be really easy to figure out that, oh yeah, maybe we're identical twins.
Oh, but
Because
You
Yestiel
could
and
change your
Arsteel were
appearance.
brothers.
That's right. Yeah.
oh yeah, but you can't have identical twins if you're different genders.
Yeah.
Yestiel and Arsteel are both guys.
I
We're
thought you were
talking
talking about
Denth and
Death and
Shishara.
Shishara.
I know, I was expanding the discussion.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, come to 17shard.com for all your news and discussion on Brandon's works in the Cosmere, and join our Discord. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. You can find Shardcast on SoundCloud, YouTube, and you can leave us a review on iTunes. That would be great. We'd love that. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out forever.
Call!